Good evening, everyone. My name is Declan McCarville, and we're here live at Teagasc Ballyhaise Agricultural College for the second demonstration evening on lambing. We're going to be live for approximately the next 15 to 20 minutes. For those that are watching, if you have any questions, please do post them, or indeed if you have any questions from last night's episode, please do post them also, and we'll ask the questions on your behalf. I'm now going to hand over to John Kelly, who's the principal here at Ballyhaise Agricultural College. Over to you, John.
Okay, thank you, Declan, and it's John Kelly here, Principal in Teagasc Ballyhaise College, coming to you tonight again for our second night of lambing live in a very cold County Cavan, Ballyhaise and County Cavan, one of our three Teagasc Agricultural Colleges. We're here tonight, again, we're going to focus on looking after the newborn lamb. We have students here around the college, and our first year level 5 students, and they're going to give us an idea of the skills that our students learn looking after the lamb. It's a little bit quieter here tonight than last night, but we have a ewe that's showing signs of lambing. Maybe Mary, I'll just hand over to Mary McGlynn's our sheep teacher here. She's going to give a recap on what's happened in the last 24 hours, and maybe then talk about the ewe that's behind Declan that is close to lambing.
Thanks, John. We've had a very, very busy night and day so far. We're just over halfway point at the moment, and as John said, there's a ewe that's just started to lamb at the moment, and she's just showing signs of lambing, but if lambing happens, we'll take you to that. So maybe in the meantime, we'll have a look at where and what happened to the ewe that lambed last night. She's here behind me, okay? So this is our ewe here that lambed last night. And we see she has her 2 lambs here beside her, okay? Now, in actual fact, when we went off camera last night, this ewe went on to have a 3rd lamb.
So we had scanned, Mary, that's what you...
And we
thought she had twins. And then, lo and behold, after we went off air...
she had another lamb, and that occasionally happens.
Yes, okay? The scanning isn't always accurate.
But our scanner is usually very, very
accurate.
It was
a bonus lamb.
A bonus lamb is right, okay? So the 3rd lamb, what happened to him? Well, we were able to foster him during the night, and he's now with another foster mother. And later on in our broadcast, we'll give you some more update on that. But we can see there, our ewe from last night is doing well and all is good. So at this stage, we might actually talk about care of the newborn lamb. So I might ask one of our students to come in and tell us about the care of the newborn lamb. So.
And just tell us who, let him open the gate.
Hello, my name's Anthony here. I'm from Kinolly, there, kind of from Anna.
Anthony, I get you to come right round this side of the gate to me here. Anthony, you lambed this ewe here actually at lunchtime. You were on lunchtime watch.
Yep.
Talk me through it. She scanned for 4, I think. Do I see 4 dots?
Yeah. 4 of them was coming backwards. And each one of them had to be assisted. And all lambed and got them alive and they're all well.
I'm missing a lamb, Anthony.
We had fostered one of them.
So you've one fostered already?
Yeah, it's on up there, so she is.
Great result. Anthony, talk me through when you brought the ewe into the pen. What checks did you do on the lamb first of all, and then on the ewe?
Well, the first check was that the lamb's all healthy, and then checked that the ewe had proper colostrum.
Okay, so you maybe broke the seal on the teat, and you checked that there was no mastitis or anything there.
Yeah.
Brilliant. And what about the lambs themselves? Was there anything you had to do with the lambs?
We put iodine on them for
on their navels. Okay. And obviously we have water here, but you checked that it was...
as well.
Okay. So you put the lambs in the pen. What subsequent checks would you do on the lamb, ewe and lambs?
You're checking out that they're all healthy and they all got
how long would you like it before they started to feed, Anthony?
In the first half hour.
In the first half hour.
Stomach tubing, Michael will show you that later on in the programme.
Okay, so stomach tubing, vital skill for students to be able to do, especially with so many lambs. And also because you had an assisted delivery, the lambs might be that little bit sluggish.
Yeah, well, they're born with no immunity.
So, exactly, and it's essential to get the colostrum into them to give them the immunity from their mother. Okay, what we might do at this stage is we might ask Michael actually to come in and demonstrate a tube feed for us. Michael, if you'd like to come over to us here. Thank you, Anthony. Okay.
Michael's just coming in with a lamb here, and we'll get a seat here now in a second.
Okay. So, Michael, I'll take that off you there and help you with that. Right. So you have some milk prepared here.
You taking a seat there, Michael?
Yeah. And John, I'll sit you on that 6 again. Okay.
Michael, just tell us about yourself, where you're from.
Michael Bourne, just from outside Kells there in County Meath.
So, Michael, one of the skills that we do here in the college is tube feeding.
Yeah.
Very important skill.
Very important, yeah. She can potentially save a lamb's life if
Exactly.
you give them time.
And all students are given lots of opportunity. You were in here lambing, I think, what night? Was it Sunday night?
Sunday night we were there.
Sunday night. Extremely cold night.
Yeah, vicious cold.
We had a lot of very weak lambs that got cold, so you had lots of tube feeding to do that night.
A good bit of feeding down,
You were extremely busy. Okay, Michael, talk me through what equipment you need when you're tube feeding. So,
just the syringe itself and the tube.
yeah.
And the colostrum and...
Okay, so your colostrum options, Michael.
Yeah, you can get the artificial colostrum and the powder, like, and mix it up. Or better again, if you can get out the yourself, if sometimes you mightn't have enough all the time.
Perhaps that you mightn't just have started to let down milk or whatever. But if you can at all, it's best to milk the yolk and give the milk from the yolk to our own lamb for the immunity. So, Michael, what we might do at this stage is we might get you to actually, demonstrate. So, I've had that stomach tube there in hot water. Why did I do that? Or what?
Just keep it nice and flexible, soft from to wouldn't be hard on the lamb when you're putting it down.
Okay. Very good. So
roughly just measure from his head to down about there. So you have a fair idea how long we're going to put it in.
And we want it to go right into the stomach, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Put it in the whole way. So just gently open his mouth. Now down nice and handy.
So you've put your finger in there and you're letting him actually suck the finger, and as that's happening, you're putting the tube down, so he's kind of swallowing the tube down.
Yeah.
Okay?
Nice and gently.
So I'll just get a syringe of milk here. So Michael, just while I'm doing that, talk me through how much milk would this, or colostrum would this lamb need ideally?
About roughly 50 ml per kg of the weight of the lamb when he's born.
Okay. So that's a rough guide, is that the lamb would need 50 mils per...
Okay, we just had another technical break in our line, but we'll take up where we left off. We're just going to show the demonstration on the tube feeding. Mary, just before we start that, it's a very, very important skill to be able to tube feed.
Essential skill. As Michael said earlier, it's a life-saving potentially for the lamb, and it's one that every one of our students here would learn and have plenty of time to practice. Michael, you were in on Sunday night.
Yeah, we were here lamb on Sunday night, and we had to tube a good few lambs on a very cold night.
Extremely cold night, and it was essential that you were able to tube feed. Okay.
Good skill to have,
So Michael, I'll hand you over here a tube. Now the tube has been soaking in some warm water. And why do I do that?
Just keep it in hot water before you use it, so it'll be nice and soft.
Nice and soft, exactly.
Be easier to put down for the lamb. And just a rough guide would be, if you measure from his head down to his bottom of his stomach, so you know roughly how far you want to put the tube in. So you take him nice and gently and open his mouth. Put the tube in nice and handy, and feed it down as he's swallowing it down himself.
Okay, so he's effectively kind of swallowing it down.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you keep your finger at the bottom of his neck there, you feel it going down.
Okay, so you're able to actually feel the tube there, Michael. Yeah. Perfect. Okay. So at that stage then, you'd attach your syringe and you just gently
let it into him,
Okay. Just to recap there, Michael, how much colostrum should a lamb get in the first 4 hours of life?
About 50 ml per kg of the lamb when he's born.
As a general rule.
Just roughly,
So a 4 kg lamb?
About 200 ml.
About 200 mils. Okay. Now, if I were feeding, I'd have it gone in now and I would remove my syringe and I'd get another full syringe. We're not going to feed this lamb now because he's fine, he doesn't need a feeding, and it would be unnecessary. Just one thing to note though, when you are taking out the tube itself, keep the syringe and the tube attached and just gently all comes out together. And that way, any wee drip that's in the tube remains in the tube and doesn't just drain down into the lamb's lungs. Okay? So that's very, very important skill for students to be well briefed on. Now, John, as we said earlier, our yard there had 3 lambs. And we fostered 1.
Yes.
So that actual fostering took place at 5 o'clock this morning. When we had an opportunity for a single ewe to lamb. So what we might do now is we might actually show you that fostering. We filmed it and it'd be a good opportunity for our viewers to see that.
Very good. Thanks, Mary.
Post-lambing, when ewes are housed, they should receive good quality ad-lib silage and approximately 1 to 1.5 kgs of meal per day. As the ewe's own lamb is about to be born, the foster lamb should be wet with lukewarm water so he appears to be a newborn, and the legs should be tied to ensure the lamb remains stationary throughout the process. The foster lamb should then be placed, preferably on a tray or clean bag, underneath the ewe as she is lambing to catch all of the lambing fluids. The two lambs should then be rubbed together with the fluids so as both lambs will smell the same. The foster lamb should be given to the ewe first, followed shortly afterwards by her own lamb. The two lambs should be kept close together to ensure the ewe bonds with both. After approximately 5 minutes, the foster lamb's legs can be untied.
Okay, we're back again. That short clip, Marianne, maybe just it's over to you just to explain and talk to the students about fostering.
Okay, so just first of all to introduce our third lamb. This was the third lamb that was born last night, okay? And as we can see, our two lambs here are extremely different, okay? This is the lamb that was fostered, and this is the ewe's own lamb, okay? When that fostering occurred at 5 o'clock this morning, we were actually very busy at the time delivering another lamb when Rebecca spotted that the ewe was the single was lambing. Maybe John, you just chat to Rebecca.
Hi, my name's Rebecca and I'm from Carton Cross in Monaghan. So we fostered the lamb onto this ewe. When the ewe was lambing, we took the lamb, we tied its legs together with cable ties, we have them there. We put this tray behind the ewe to catch all the fluid that was coming out of the ewe, and we rubbed the lamb around with it. And we placed the lamb at the ewe's head, and then she took up the lamb, and it was a success. So
it was a great success. Yeah. And Rebecca, time was of the essence. We were really rushing. Yeah. Why was that? Why did we not want to miss the lamb being born before we introduced the foster lamb?
Yeah, no, it's important to be there in time and to introduce the foster lamb to the ewe first, so she'll take up with him.
Okay, and you can see there the mother is quite keen to get those two lambs back, so we might give her the two lambs back, okay?
Okay, and just notice some of our lambs have yellow tags. I'm not sure if our viewers have seen it, but maybe Mary, just explain about the tags.
Yeah, we tag our lambs very early after birth, and what that facilitates, John, it facilitates us to weigh the lambs. We might get one of our students now to chat to us about that.
And just introduce yourself.
I'm Kieran McMahon from Monaghan in County Leitrim.
Thanks, Kieran.
Kieran, John and I were just chatting there about tagging and weighing. What kind of tags do we use? Maybe talk to us a little bit about the importance of that.
We do use electronic tags. We do have a computer to tag them, to record just how they're doing. And
so we tag the lamb very shortly after birth, and we weigh the lamb. What information does that give us, or why do we weigh the lamb?
We weigh the lamb so we know how the ewe performed before she gave birth, and how much we need, or how much nuts she was got.
Exactly, and because our colleagues in Athenry and so forth have the research proven that the initial birth weight actually has a big factor on the lamb's ability later on at weaning, their weaning weight and so forth. So birth weight is quite significant and important. And would we weigh them then later on subsequently?
We'd weigh them about 7 weeks later. See how they perform and how they're getting on since.
And what big piece of information does that 7-week weigh tell us?
It tells us how they perform, like with the ewe's milk.
Exactly, because the vast amount of that weight gain is attributed to the ewe's milk, so it gives us huge information there on the ewe. And again, we just simply scan in the lamb's number in here, and we can upload this to our computer system, and it in turn links to our weigh bridge. So it's all, once we put the EID tag in, it's all very simple, and the computerized system makes it very easy to work with. You mentioned there about how the ewe was being fed. The post-lamb nutrition is very, very important. And I know you were involved earlier in the feeding of the ewes, and we might actually do that clip now and show you when Kieran was feeding our ewes earlier on today. Post-lambing, when ewes are housed, they should receive good quality ad-lib silage and approximately 1 to 1.5 kgs of meal per day. Ewes and lambs should be checked regularly to ensure bonding and good health. Feeding times are an excellent opportunity to inspect all stock. Meal feeding should be introduced to the lambs at 2 weeks of age. Weather permitting, The lambs born this week will be turned out to a sheltered paddock in mid to late February.
Okay, thanks for that, Declan. So we pretty much there at this stage. We just have time for a few questions, but before we get into the questions, Mary, often I hear people talking about pet lambs. Maybe just explain that to me and how do we deal with that in Ballyhaise?
Probably the easiest thing to do is to foster the lamb. However, in some cases you might have more surplus lambs, so you'll have fewer singles than triplets, and you won't have an opportunity to foster. And one of the ways of getting around that is to feed pet lambs. And you see here we have some artificial rears. These rears can easily rear 20 lambs each, and it's a very convenient way in that you'd leave the lamb with the mother for maybe about 2 days to get an adequate colostrum, and after that the lamb can be trained on to the artificial rearer.
And you're using like baby infant formula, the equivalent for lambs.
Yes, substitute. So you're mixing it up, and the lamb is feeding itself, mixing it up twice a day. You'd be putting it into one of these feeders, making sure they were thoroughly cleaned.
And does it take a lot of time to train the lamb to feed off the feeder?
No,
like
generally speaking, if you get the lamb young enough,
right,
they're easy enough. But if the lamb, say for example, might be a week old,
yes,
or if it was a lamb out in the field,
yes,
and you were bringing him back in, that can be difficult to get him to drink from the bucket. It can be tricky now.
And just maybe change topics. How's the lambing going in Ballyhaise? Where are we? We're
just over halfway, and we're pleased. We're very pleased.
Yes.
I think we kind of lost track nearly of numbers at one stage today,
yes,
because it got so busy. But
yeah,
despite,
so a lot of the students that haven't been involved yet are rostered now over the next couple of days.
Yes, we've ongoing with 24-hour roster, and I'd imagine by Friday we'll be wrapping up. We'll be wrapping up the actual lambing, but of course the post-lambing care will still need to be there.
Yes.
John, you might have seen in that nutrition clip that our field of grass was there.
Yes, well, the grass, that's how do we have grass in February or January?
That just didn't happen by chance.
Yes.
No, that was very much a planned approach, and we would have planned that back as far as September in our autumn rotation planner.
Yeah.
And we picked the field specifically because it was quite sheltered.
Right.
And we closed that field. I think it might have been the first week in October.
What does close mean? That's the last time we grazed it.
Exactly, John. The last grazing would have been the first week in October, and no sheep have been in that since.
A certain amount of grass has grown through the winter.
Yeah, we've had quite a mild autumn, so there would have been a bit of grass growing on all along. I know it was very tempting there in November, December to graze it, but we made the decision to house our early ewes instead the 1st of November, because that grass is far more valuable, in February than it was to us in November.
Because of the lambs, obviously, and feeding the ewe. Very good. And maybe just the ewe behind us, I've been keeping an eye on it. It's been very quiet here tonight, and we're not likely to see a lamb no live lambing tonight, so unfortunately.
Unfortunately not.
Declan's panning in there to see, and no, we have no action tonight. So Declan, we'll just take a few questions. I know you might have one or two questions there, if we want to take a minute, and we'll finish up then.
Yes, John, we have a question in from Sean Godfrey, and he'd like to know, what rams do you use here in Ballyhaise, and are their performance recorded?
Yes, that's a good technical question, Mary.
Great
so that's over to you.
Thanks for that. We have a variety of rams. We have Charlet, Suffolk, Belclare, Texel. And for our early lambing, none of those lambs are retained, so we would select primarily on terminal. So what I mean by that, John, is that our early lambs all go for factory. And so therefore we're selecting rams that have better traits for average daily gain and weight gain versus maternal traits such as milk and milk.
Okay.
There's just two other parts, and you may have answered them, but he'd just like to know as well, let's say, that he noticed you tagged the lambs at birth. What level of recording, if any, do you do? And at birth, waste lambing, difficulties, etc. How do you deal with that?
Yeah, well, the tags is quite interesting. We made the investment in electronic scanning equipment for the tags, obviously to improve the accuracy and the management of the sheep flock here. Maybe the use, Mary, the actual data that you use, maybe explain that.
Yeah. As John said earlier, we said all our lambs are tagged at birth, and that was very significant to us when we were retaining and selecting our ewe lambs for breeding. We were able to track those ewe lambs right throughout, from their birth weight to their weaning weight when they were taken off their mother, and we selected our ewe lambs based on that data. And because we had it all on computer, it was very easy, very accessible, and we would envisage that by selecting that, we will going forward have much better ewes as a result.
The electronic data, it's very important. Like we put Wi-Fi into our shed, have internet access. Like, it does
Exactly.
improve the accuracy and managing the
And
flock.
another factor there, John, would be that it helps us when we're selecting ewes for culling, because we're able to select ewes that aren't performing.
Yes. Another question, Declan?
There's one more final question. I say, why don't you finish the lambs inside for sale?
Yeah, that's another interesting question. Obviously, that's quite a very viable proposition to finish them inside.
There's several different systems of early lamb production, and one system indeed would be finishing the lambs inside.
And when we say finishing, that's when they're ready to be sold.
Ready for factory,
Yes.
exactly. It's obviously it's more expensive because it's more meal involved, and a grass-based system is probably slightly cheaper, but may take longer to finish the lamb. In our case, we actually do turn the lambs out or put them out in the field mid-February, because we actually need this shed behind us, which is our big.
Okay, thanks for that. I just wanted to make this final shot to thank everybody. We're over and our students are here. It's very cold, and I just want to thank them for their participation tonight, particularly the students on camera, but also the ones behind the scenes. There's a lot of work going on here. We're only halfway through lambing, so there's a long way to go yet. I want to thank Mary for her excellent presentations here and talking to the students and getting an idea of what the skills that we teach our students here. That's really what I wanted to show tonight, and the value of having Ballyhaise in this part of the country to be able to teach skills like that. And we also did thank Declan for behind the scenes setting it up tonight, our farm manager John, and Jared, the farm staff member, and their work here keeping this unit going and facilitating tonight. Thank you very much, and good night.